This conversation is often reduced to labels. In this episode of The Bridge, feminist and anti-feminist women sit face to face to explore where their beliefs about womanhood, equality, and freedom align, and where they don't. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Daff. Welcome to The Bridge. Welcome, ladies. Thank you for being here today. I want you to just go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Kyla Turner, and I am a feminist.
Hi, my name is Anne. I'm a feminist.
I'm Bella. I'm a feminist.
I'm Ceci. I'm a feminist.
I'm Chelsea Godds. I'm a feminist.
I'm Matrix, and I'm anti-feminist.
I'm Jada, and I'm an anti-feminist.
I'm Savannah, and I'm anti-feminist.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maggie. I do not identify as a feminist.
Hi, I'm Carmen JC, and I am an anti-feminist.
Thank you, ladies. And the first prompt is, women have more privileges today than men. Okay, anyone who feels strongly can speak.
I think women in many ways have more privileges, but they also have more oppressions. And I think both of these things have to be weighed in when you're talking about like people's social power, right? It's really important to understand that women face significant oppressions, significant issues. And so while some of the privileges that we can identify, like courts tend to be more lenient to them, for example, if there's a situation, for example, of custody, women are going to be favored in that situation. They also have less choice with their bodies, right? They have issues where with hiring, if they try to negotiate, they'll be seen as caustic and negative because they're kind of our stereotypical presumptions of how women have to be. And these things impact women significantly. That's just why I would say they have less political power overall as well.
Well, just one of those things was not true in regards to custody decisions in this country. In fact, men are more likely to receive custody of their children if they ask for it. If men seek custody in a court in the United States of America, statistically, they are 90% likely to receive more custody or possibly even exactly what they were asking for. I would just say that women are not more likely to receive custody of children in court. Men are. Women just are the ones who more receive custody in court.
It's true. It's only 4%. Only 4% of men fight for custody of their children.
And when they do, it's successful 90% of the time. So that would tell me that court actually favors men. I understand that there's like kind of this anecdote that family court does in fact favor women, but it just so happens that women are more likely to want custody of their children. And that's where that mythology comes from.
I would disagree. You mentioned that men get custody when they ask for it. And that presumes that women don't have to ask for it. Why doesn't it begin equal and men not having to ask for custody if they are actually full parents, just
Sure.
like the mom?
Sure, that's a great question. I think it's really important that we have a conversation that our laws are written by men. Our courts are ruled by men. So if you have some concern about what a court presumes, well, that's a conversation to have with men too. They're the ones who wrote the laws.
I saw you shaking your head.
I just know that my dad got custody of me because he asked for it. And it's a personal experience. It's not everything, but
Sorry, go ahead.
I completely agree that like all of the laws that we have, we can vote now, but we're still in a system that was designed by men. So a lot of the issues that we have, that men have, are because the decisions that they made.
But why would you start out assuming 50-50, like that both parents want the kid? Because in a lot of cases, like, men just aren't asking, so wouldn't you want to make the assumption that, like, the parent who pursues custody is the one who, one, feels empowered to, and two, wants to? Because I agree, like, there is a system set up where men probably don't feel empowered to ask for custody of their children, but I think that they should, first of all. But there is a problem, like, you can't just say, oh, it's fully the court system's fault. I think there is a culture that encourages young men to just say, oh, well, that's a woman's job. That's, not my job. Not, if the woman wants the kid, she can have the kid. And I don't know why a court would assume that a father just wants to be a father.
I was going to say, so wouldn't that culture that would put that on men be a result of feminism? Because men would probably prefer to have the women in their household. And also, women are the ones that are more likely to engage in divorce. So men want to stay with these women.
Engage in divorce?
Yeah.
Like start divorce,
Like
is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know what she was trying to say.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. And men are the ones that actually stay because they want their family together. It is women that actually disrupt the family, and then they get upset with the results of a disrupted family.
Or they just want to keep the woman so that she's running the household. I don't know if it's necessarily I don't know. Men can't function as well without women as women can without a man. So I feel like when he hears divorce is on the table, it's going to disrupt his whole life a lot more. And I feel like that's really what they're thinking about.
Women do initiate divorce more. The issue is that they also initiate couples therapy. They also initiate seeking every single other alternative before divorce at basically the same rates as we see with divorce rates, right? So yes, women are divorcing. The issue is that like men accepting a loveless marriage with children who are miserable isn't like this thing that we should hold up and go, see, isn't this better? It's like, actually, all of this is unhealthy, right? It's unhealthy that men have been socialized in such a way that they don't think of themselves as fathers first, that they aren't asking for it, right? Whereas in this way, this is where women have been taught for both good and bad, that you are a mom, right? And I think we default to that, which is harmful to women. But we have to acknowledge that like women are seeking off-ramps in these relationships where divorce happens. And the same issues that they cite for divorce are happening over and over and over again. And this is a systemic issue. It's not just women want to get out of their marriages. It's that women won't tolerate a loveless, empty marriage, which is not even good for children.
Okay, so a loveless, empty marriage, how does the system contribute to what happens in your marriage?
Well, the way that we raise our boys, right, for example, is we teach them that your emotions are bad. So think about the way that we raise young boys. The most common way that young boys express their feelings is called externalizing. You see this in clinical data. The way that boys express their feelings, we teach them the only emotion you're allowed to have as a boy is anger. That's the only one allowed. But if you have anger, go to your room. Nobody wants to look at you or deal with you. And so what we've done is we've taught men that their feelings aren't okay, that if they have them, they're isolated and weak for having them. And so the only alternative for them is anger or anhedonia, a complete like emptiness and vacuousness. And so in this way, this is how society is contributing to this, because the presumptions we place onto our children that set a course and script for them that destroys their relationships. And men are reporting this. They're lonely, they have less friends, and their marriages don't work out. Men are saying this, not just women.
Really? Well, women do say it, so I mean, I don't understand why it's always like the men, because the men aren't emotional, because the men aren't this. Like, the women are the ones that want to leave. So
women want to leave, and maybe we should ask them why, because men are responsible for 90% of the violent crime in the U.S. Like, we always talk about women and what we should be doing. I really can't. I talk about feminism a lot, and I get so sick of it because I don't know why we're not talking about men. We're always focusing on women and what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. What is with men? They're responsible for 95% of domestic violence, 93% sexual assaults and pedophilia, 88% of homicides, 85% serial killings, 98% of mass shootings. Could I go on? And 77% of assaults. They are responsible for so much, and then we sit here and want to make women feel bad for wanting to leave that man. I don't know why we always are focusing on women all the time.
Well, because their solution is always to leave. It's never to
Not
stay
always. Sometimes they want to have therapy, and the man doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, and therapy is such BS because you go to a couples therapist and they say, "Oh yeah, you should leave your husband."
That's not always true.
Yes, that is.
Have you been to couples
always
therapy?
the solution. No, and I will not go to
okay,
couples
so you're just
therapy.
making assumptions.
I have
Great.
heard so many stories. I see it. I've seen it online.
Yeah, if you have a marriage and couples counselor and they are just recommending divorce, which is not true. I've gone to marriage counseling and they didn't recommend divorce. If they're doing that off the hop, that would be unethical. You can actually report them for that. They're trained for more than this. A marriage counselor got trained to see marriages be happy. Right? The thing that they want is a fixed, rectified marriage. Sometimes that can't happen for a number of reasons. However, the idea that marriage counselors are just telling women to divorce their husbands is so far from any of the literature that reports on this, so far from the ethics these people are trained on, is basically taking an entire field of care workers and saying, you actually just want to destroy the thing that you care for, which is it's just not true.
Okay, I need to ask a question to both sides. So, ladies on this side, do you believe that the gender gap pay is still real?
No, it's not. That's been debunked so many times.
Okay. And ladies on this side, I'm sorry, I want to hear from you on this side.
I think it's real. If you just look at statistics, a lot of people say like, oh, well, women are just choosing different jobs. And it's like we're raised to idealize different jobs. But even then, it's like women, if you have a child, you're now also working and you have a child, you're not going to work as much. So it's like, that's to blame. The gender pay gap is huge, and the whole, I think it's like 75 cents on the dollar is just for white women. It's less for Hispanic women. It's less for black women. Like it changes. It's very real.
But you think that they're choosing like hospitality jobs because they were raised that way, or because women just naturally like those jobs
Well,
better?
like, let's say like nursing. Nursing used to be a male-only profession. They wouldn't let women work on women's bodies at all. Became more female-dominated, and now men don't even want to be in that profession, so then they lower the pay because it's a woman's job. Same thing with teaching. It used to be just a male-only job. We wouldn't let women teach. Women got into it, suddenly the pay drops for it.
Well, and not to mention, in addition to things like the gender pay gap, we also now see that women majority professions are being attacked education-wise, as the Trump administration just made it so that you can't consider nursing a professional degree. Audiology is no longer a professional degree. Yeah, and making it harder for you to get student loans because they've maxed out how much you can get in student loans. And all of these affect women more than it affects men. Well, if you're a chiropractor, great job. That's still a professional degree because that's a job that most men would seek. But if you're going to be a nurse, well, that's a job most women would seek. Now you don't get to have a loan for the amount that you need. That's an example of a gender pay gap. That's an example of like what happens when you're taking opportunity away from women and women not making as much or being given as much in a loan or whatever.
Do you on this side feel that you can support women and not identify with the feminist movement?
Not if you like pants. My mom went to school, and until middle school, she had to wear a skirt every single day. That is one generation. That is my mother. If you're wearing pants, you get to wear those in public because people like my mother were part of the feminist movement.
I would respectfully disagree here, right? So like I worked in an addiction center. I was an addiction counselor formerly. It was for women. It was a Christian center, right? What you'll often see is that some of the most like dominant nonprofits for women are often religious in nature, and that tends to lean towards like the right side. Most of the people that I worked with didn't identify as feminists. They obviously helped women. I also obviously disagreed with them on a lot of stuff. I think that when women dislike feminism, it's because they have issues with specific feminists, or they, in my mind, have like some misinfo that they believe in, right? But like, of course, you can be like a person who cares about women and not identify as a label. I would just say, come to my side. You probably do agree fundamentally with my presumptions about what feminism should be for and what it is.
Anyone have anything to say about that on this side?
As far as being a feminist and supporting women? I don't think the feminist movement supports women at all. I think it actually harms them. It's told us that sexual exploitation is empowering and that we should kill our offspring if it's an inconvenience to our life, and that marriage and family are not important anymore. I mean, it's completely destroyed everything that's been unique about womanhood.
So the alternative is like, let me get my ass beat, take my Xanax, and raise these kids when I don't want to. Like, what's the alternative for women who aren't happy at home? Like, that's what I don't understand.
Women are pill popping more now than they were in the 50s. They're more depressed than they were. Yes, this is completely.
And men are 4 times, women, yes, 2 times more likely to be on antidepressants than men. Men are 4 times more likely to kill themselves.
Why do you think that we're more likely to be on antidepressants?
Capitalism, the way the world is, the economy. I'll tell you right now, the economy controls the mood of a country. The mood of the country sucks because of the economy. Capitalism is the actual enemy here, not feminism. Feminism was just a human rights movement like the civil rights movement. Black people should have equal rights. What's the difference between a woman and a black person? It's just a matter of, no, you want equal rights as a human because you should have them. I should have them too, right? It was just a human rights movement. It was focused on the gender, and then we focused on the race, and we all came up. I don't know why everyone can't come up together.
Yeah, I feel like there's a huge misnomer on what feminism is. Feminism is not me telling you to go abort your firstborn son. I don't care what you do with your body. Feminism is you have the opportunity to do what you want because of, you have a bank card because of feminism, you get to wear pants because of feminism, you get to have a job because of feminism, you get to get out of the house if you want to because of feminism. This is not about like trying to control your life. There is more room for people who are anti-feminists in the world of feminists than there is for people like me in your world. I don't care if a person wants to go have children their whole life and that's what they want to do. Most of my friends are stay-at-home moms. Many of my extremely liberal friends are stay-at-home mothers. And do you think I denigrate their decision to sacrifice their life for their children? Absolutely not. I'm a mother myself. But I also want to have the opportunity to work if I want to, because for me, that's where I find happiness. There is space for you in our movement, but there is no space for us in yours. We're inclusive. Feminism is not telling you what to do with your life.
Yeah, you
Feminism
can have
is
a baby,
letting
you can get married, do
what
whatever
you
you
want
want
with your life.
Sorry. I agree, though. I agree. Do whatever you want with your life.
Feminism is letting you do what you want with your life. And I don't want to tell you not to get married when you're 19 and pop out 7 kids if that's a thing that's going to be happy for you. But I want to offer people the opportunity that they can also do something else if that's what makes them happy.
So I did get a sense that someone on this side felt like this side was feeling or was speaking in a way that felt racist. Can you speak to that?
So when you said something about the difference between women and black people.
As far as human rights.
Can I speak, or are you going to keep cutting me off?
Yeah, go for it.
Right, thank you. That's like one of my main issues with feminism is like even Susan B. Anthony, like she compared white women to the black man, and she felt a way that black men got the right to vote before white women. And that's like also something that I don't agree with, because white women think they're superior to black men, you know? Why do you need the right to vote before our men? That's the question I would ask.
I'm saying everyone should have it at the same time.
But why do you have to
I'm not talking about when it happened. I'm saying everyone is a human.
It was just,
doesn't
you just
matter your
throw in
race or your gender.
This is the thing,
I feel like you should be able to live your life the way you want. That's the feminist movement.
But why did you have to bring
now.
up black people? That's what I'm trying to say.
It's a human
because you're
rights
performative.
movement. I'm comparing.
Because you're performative, babe.
Okay,
You're
I'm
performative.
comparing human rights movements. Black people exist. Women exist.
You don't have to speak
I think
on it.
both of them
Don't speak on it.
Why? It's a human rights movement. That's what we're talking about.
It's not productive. I'm telling you, I don't like
It's not productive to talk
it.
about human rights movement and compare the two when they're just about equalizing things for people so that we can all come up together.
I'm letting you know that it's offensive. I'm telling you that it's offensive.
It's offensive for me to say that women should have the same rights as black people.
Yep, it is.
It's offensive for me to say that all humans should have the same rights as everyone. That we should
That's
all
not
have the
what
same
you
rights.
said. There's a difference between everyone
Literally
and black
right
people.
now I'm saying everyone, I don't give sorry, what your skin color is, what's between your legs, I don't care about any of that. I want everyone to be able to make the decisions they want for themselves and have the same rights. I don't want you to have any less rights than me. I don't want this guy to have any less rights than me or more. Everyone should be even. That's fucked up for me to say.
Okay, good.
Could I just ask I'm just curious what's racist about the statement that I want women to have the same rights as black people. I'm just, because you said that's racist. I'm just curious what's racist about that.
Because first of all, you guys classify women as second sex, right? You guys think women, this comes from the feminist movement. We look at women and we say, oh, we're treated as second-class citizens, we're treated less than men. And so it's a little bit dehumanizing to say, for one, you want to fight for women to have better rights, and then to look at black people, which isn't just black women, that's black men, our men, that we need to be, we expect our men to be strong, and for you to say, oh, well, women deserve the same rights, black people should get the same rights as women, there's this culture in black culture where our men are constantly emasculated, right? So I'm very, very my husband's a black man, so I'm very intentional about how we speak about our black men, and I don't like that.
I wasn't talking about just black men.
But you need to be mindful. Okay, since you're a liberal and that's what y'all are about, you need to be mindful.
I didn't say anything racist.
That's it.
I didn't say anything like that at all. You're trying to misconstrue. Now you are getting my twisted.
Thank you for. Did she answer your question about what offended her?
I feel like and I'm not trying to be.
I know you're trying to actually understand.
I genuinely
which
understand.
part of the conversation offended her, and I think
it wasn't you. She said something.
No. I understand it wasn't me. I'm trying to understand. You said the statement, I want women to have the same rights as black people. I'm trying to understand what's racist about that.
I think
because you wouldn't say that about a white man.
It's the men part, I think, that got added to.
You don't have to say women and black people and then not speak on what about the black men? You know what I mean? I don't understand why you do that. Can someone speak to this? Am I crazy?
Did anyone else? Did any other ladies on the side feel that same way about that statement?
I think she's just kind of referring to women should have the same rights as everybody. Why do you have to single out black people or black men?
The reason I see
black men
not
have
men,
the same rights as everybody right now, and women
reason,
have the same rights as everyone. We're equal right now. So how far do feminism have to go before you guys see that we're equal?
But you want to I'm not talking about you guys because I don't know where you stand as far as anti-feminism. But there are people that are actively working to take our rights away, so that we are backsliding into time. That's why
as far as abortion.
That's repealing the 19th.
Getting rid of the women's right to vote.
The 19th is never going to be repealed. I think people are trolling.
Never say never. But she's right. I meant everyone should have the same rights. And I only brought up black people because of the civil rights movement happening around the same time. These were human rights movements. We all tried to come up together, which I love, and I think we all should have the same rights. I don't think that's
Yeah, I
For
don't think you
now.
had ill intent. I don't think you had ill intent. I'm just like, we need to be careful about how we speak when we bring in Black people, because we're always constantly attaching every civil rights kind of movement to Black identity. Like, we're always the LGBT, everything. It's always connected to Black people. And so I'm just like, no. That's what I'm saying is no. I don't think that you were trying to be like evil about it, but I'm just saying be careful, because y'all have a tendency to always group Black people into every single thing, and it's just not always the time to speak on it.
I have noticed that feminists, and myself included in this, tend to get uncomfortable with conversations about race. We don't know how to talk about race very well. And even just this whole debacle that just happened was just kind of like affirming of that, of like, we need to get better at it, because...
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Like, just don't bring it up.
Hi, loves. It's me again, Dr. Michelle Daff. We've really been enjoying producing these meaningful conversations for the Dr. Daff Show. However, they are very costly to produce with our large team, equipment, studio, and cast, and everything that goes on behind the scenes. If you've been enjoying these thought-provoking conversations and want to support what we're building here, I would love for you to check out my fragrance brand, Fine Forever. Fine Forever is more than just a fragrance brand. It is a celebration of faith, purpose, and beauty. We currently have 3 signature scents, each inspired by a unique Bible scripture and has within its own story and meaning. First, we have 2911, inspired by the scripture Jeremiah 29:11. It's a delicate yet vibrant fragrance that combines lush florals with soft, sweet undertones. It is a celebration of gratitude and the blessings that unfold when we walk in faith. Next is Silent Storm, inspired by Psalm 107, 28, and 29. It's a bold, captivating scent that balances strength and serenity. With warm woods and a touch of spice, it's a reminder to find peace and purpose even in life's storms. And lastly, we have Mustard Seed, inspired by Matthew 17:20. It is a fresh and uplifting fragrance inspired by faith and growth. It opens with a bright citrus and soft florals, symbolizing the beauty of small beginnings and the incredible potential within. Every purchase directly supports this show and helps us to keep bringing you meaningful content. So if you're looking for a signature scent that not only smells amazing, but also carries a message of faith and empowerment, then visit fineforever.com and shop now. Your support means the world to me, and I truly believe that these fragrances will bless you as much as they have blessed me. The next prompt is, no career will give women as much joy and fulfillment as raising children. Okay. Oh, maybe someone who hasn't spoken. Go ahead.
I'm a Christian, so as much as you guys know all your statistics and everything about things, it's more that it conflicts with my Christian belief so much, right? So I believe that we're here to reproduce. That's one of the things in the Bible. The first thing about men and women is that they were brought together, and then it was to be fruitful and multiply. So I think one of the most valuable things we can do as women in society is to continue reproducing and grow up, raise the next generation. So that's really important. And then I'm kind of seeing how this generation is being raised in a lot of single mother households and stuff. And so I really want to prioritize bringing back the nuclear family, men in the homes and us in traditional roles. And that's my belief.
So I said yes, but it's with a huge caveat, which is that both genders report greater life satisfaction when they have children. Like, children's good for everyone. And this idea that we're lumping it to women is part of my problem with this, right? So do women experience like greater life satisfaction? Yes, so do men. Except who do we expect to be home? Women. We're like penalizing men and women. For example, if a woman wants to have a career, it feels like your side is saying, well, that wouldn't be good. Okay, well, she's also going to get life satisfaction from her career. In fact, there's a lot of acute happiness that often comes attached to a career. And the issue is that like men and women should have the agency to choose both of these things because they should both have access to it, right? There isn't a reason why we should tell men, women have to stay home, you must stay at work, you won't get a relationship with your children. You get a relationship with your kids for 6 hours a day. I don't think that that's better, right? Speaking of the capitalism, I think if you look at models that have like 32-hour work weeks, you have greater happiness amongst men, women, and children because both parents are home with their children. And frankly, if a woman wants to not have a child, That's fine. That's her prerogative to do, right? You can still have great life satisfaction and happiness from not having a child.
I just want to say one thing because she brought up capitalism. The nuclear family unit, I love the idea. Honestly, my dad was a stay-at-home dad for a while. Then my mom was. They like switched on and off a little bit, which I loved having my dad at home. I thought it was dope. And I think it would be awesome if we could have a parent in the household. But the reality is feminism didn't stop that. It was capitalism. 1950s nuclear family unit existed because we were taxing the rich at 90%. We don't tax them anymore. Amazon and Tesla, they paid $0 in taxes. So I wish you could all be your trad wives that you want to be. I just don't know if your man will be able to afford the house to put you in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to really focus on the capitalism part of it, because if you want to be able to have a woman at home with your kids, you have to be able to afford to do that. And a lot of people right now can't afford to, even if they want to. So before attacking feminism, we should be eating the rich. We should be attacking billionaires and taking back the tax money so that you can have your nuclear family unit.
I wanted to speak on this one. Could you repeat the prompt for me, please?
Sure. No career would give women as much joy and fulfillment as raising children.
Okay. So I'm probably the oldest one here. I just turned 50 last month. So as a golden girl who has raised boys, I'm a boy mom who was a professional woman, and that cost me my marriage, thinking that the career was more important than the family. And so my position is from learning from the mistakes that I made to help younger women make decisions that they will be happy with when they're my age. And you brought up the word acute. There's nothing wrong with working. And I do want to say, we are not expecting the man exclusively works and the woman is exclusively home. Both of my parents worked and took time. You know, you work it out for your family with your husband. That's all that matters.
She brought up the nuclear family unit.
Nuclear family means mom, dad, sister, brother, or whatever it is. It doesn't mean only dad works and only mom is in the kitchen. Generations ago, mom may have side businesses, do other things, sew, bake, whatever it is. You do what's best for the family. All I'm saying, as a woman with lived experience, who has been an executive, who has had the big bonuses and all of that, I promise you, having a son that is a Marine, working with my ex-husband to raise two boys that we are very proud of, one that's going to the Air Force, nothing will give you that fulfillment than being a mother. I'm telling you now, the acute accomplishments are great, but legacy trumps everything.
Well, this is the important thing of like fourth wave feminism, especially, is we want women to have agency to choose.
Absolutely.
And if you want to choose raising your kids, that's awesome.
Yes.
And if you want to choose a career, that's fine.
Yes.
I want even women to choose choices that might be worse in the long run, because agency and choice is so, you want to talk about biblical. God gave us the ability to choose.
Right.
If you think that this is feminism is maximizing the capacity for women to choose, including what you might view as wrong, right? Because the problem is that if you limit women's ability to choose, all you do is you just make good behavior the necessity of survival. That's not noble. That's not anything that we strive for. Choice is fundamental to feminism because it means you get to choose good or bad. But if you're good because you just have to be, that isn't meaningful. So we want you guys to have kids. We want us to have kids. We just want women to be able to choose. And there's increasingly pressure to pressure women. We want to talk about the waging and earnings gap. The earning gap exists for two reasons. One of the biggest reasons is because women will choose professions and have plateau careers during motherhood. That's the main reason that women earn less. The second reason is because they tend to work less hours. Again, because typically they choose to stay home with children. And I'm not saying career is all of this stuff, but if you want to get comprehensive here and you want to talk about happiness and meaning and choice, what we're also doing to women, which is saying, you get to choose a career, but you're kind of a bad woman if you choose career over your children. We're not doing that to men. Men are choosing their careers over their children every day, because we've told men that their value is tied to the GDP output that they provide for their family. I think that's just as anti-biblical. When I talk about biblical, it's not the nuclear family that's biblical, it's intergenerational families and villages. And what we're telling men is, leave your kids, have nothing else, work every day of your life so that when you're 50 and retire, your kids don't know you and they resent you. That's what we're telling people to do right now. As a feminist, I'm saying, no, both should choose. Everyone should choose, including men and including women.
I would argue that men get satisfaction from providing. I think that is their ultimate instinct. And I'm not saying working themselves to death. I mean, unfortunately, I think the 40-hour work week is stupid. I think entrepreneurship is great for men because they can decide kind of what to do with their time. But I think innately, and my husband can attest to this, men want to provide for their family. And women tend to like to nurture their family. They tend to like to be with the kids more. So that's why they're choosing more part-time jobs. They're choosing maybe running a business. They're choosing paying hobbies. That is why that they do that. And I would also argue that women are not being pressured to stay home. I think women are being pressured right now in society to choose career over family and over marriage.
Well, this is completely unrelated since we're not going to be ping-ponging back and forth now. For an example, so just so you guys know, I was raised in a very traditional Christian religion. I was raised Mormon, and from the age of birth until 18 years old, I was told that the thing that was going to make me the very happiest was having a family. That is something that is told to you in these kind of patriarchal religions, is that the thing that is going to fulfill you is having a family, the thing that is going to fulfill you is taking care of a man's needs, the thing that is going to fulfill you is having a husband. And the reality is, every person on the planet has some general idea about what's going to make them happy. And I refuse to believe that having children is going to be the ultimate goal for every woman on this planet or every man on this planet. And I think that the idea of putting people into small boxes and saying, women are women, therefore the thing that's going to make you happiest is popping a baby out of your baby hole, I think is dangerous. Because I was raised in a culture that told me that what was going to make me happiest was having a baby and popping it out of my baby hole. This last summer, I went to a Mormon event, which is kind of unusual for me because I've been out of the church for a really long time now. And I was having a conversation with a woman who she'd gotten married when she was 20, had done everything traditional. She was a trad wife, had her kids, her husband worked, she stayed at home. We're having a conversation and our kids are jumping on the tram together and she looks over at me and she's like, "Don't you just hate our children?" And I was like, "Excuse me, what?" She's like, "Oh yeah, my sister and I talk about all the time how awful being a mom is. Don't you just hate it?" I don't hate being a mom. You know why I don't hate being a mom? Because I chose to be a mother. Because the first time I had children, I was 30 years old. The first time I had a child, and I'm proud to be a mom. I'm proud of everyone who chooses to be a mom. I don't want everyone to choose that, but this woman who I was talking to had a hatred of motherhood. And her hatred of motherhood came from a place where she wasn't given another choice. The reason why she resented what her life had become was because she had been told from birth that the only thing she was to become was to be a mother. Not me. I was whatever I wanted to be, and I chose to be a mom because that was a joy that I chose for myself. But I want you to know that I find children to be joyful, but not everyone does. And teaching every woman or every man that what's going to fulfill them in their life is children, I actually think is harmful. Because what happens when it turns out you have a kid and that doesn't fulfill you? Well, then you're a mom hanging out with me, watching our kids jump on a trampoline, thinking to yourself, I really hate being a mother. And I would like to avoid that because I think that there is joy in children. I think there is joy in that. But it's not for everyone, and I don't want to teach every woman or every man that that's how we should be.
The same could be said about feminism, right? So like kind of what she was saying, I almost lost my marriage from prioritizing a career. And I had gained very masculine traits. Like I wasn't serving my family. I wasn't paying attention to my family's needs. I wasn't prioritizing having a child. I'm going now into my 30s and finally at a position where I'm like, I'm all in to serve my home the past year. So I wasted all this time chasing after career and once again almost ended up a divorced woman.
But that has nothing to do with feminism, right? Because feminism allowed her the opportunity to have a career and the opportunity to have a child, and she chose what was best for her, and she may feel that that's what ended her marriage, but I don't believe that that's what ended her marriage because her husband was involved in that too. There were two people in your marriage. You know, he could have probably been involved. If he felt that that was a problem, then maybe that's a conversation that could have been worked out. But I don't believe feminism is why your marriage ended. I don't believe that for 1 second. You're allowed to have kids in feminism. You're allowed to raise a family in feminism. You're allowed to. Of course you are. But I have kids.
It's like it's about children, it's about serving others. It's about serving your home. Feminism is it's me. It's about prioritizing my needs, my happiness, right? It's about going and getting things done that will fulfill me, like a job and a career.
I was just wondering, like you're saying feminism pushed me to get a job, right? Like, or do you think it might be more the system that we have? Yes. We need money to survive. Right. I think that pushed you more to getting a job than having equal rights.
Did you need to get the job?
No, I don't
Well,
need
rather,
to go have
I don't
a
want to
college
interrogate your
degree.
guys' lives. Like, you guys get to make the choices that you guys want to make. The problem is when you take your story and you tell other people that that has to be their story, right? So when you say, I regret it because that's fine. That's fine that that's your story. What do you guys think is the one regret of men who are dying in hospice? What's the
Not
number?
spending enough time with their children.
Why don't they?
Because they sacrifice.
Because they're expected to provide. Men
So,
don't
so if
innately.
both are staying home, though, who's going to provide?
But the issue is that both can provide. That's what almost all families are doing.
So if both of them are gone, then daycare is raising the children.
Well, that's an unfortunate issue that we could go back to capitalism. We can talk about issues as far as like providing UBI or providing free healthcare or allowing villages to raise children. I'm with you on these things. But the idea is what you're trying to do is saying men must provide, and you are dooming men and women to the same lives that they have reported saying, I'm miserable. So many women, for example, do you guys know about the gray divorce rates? So divorce rates amongst boomer parents is exploding because all those women and men stayed in a marriage because they had to raise their kids. And what you see is high levels of regret, particularly from the women. What I want is a world where people get to understand that they can just sort the relationship any way they want. If the man thinks it's better for him to be out 60% of the time and she's home for the rest of the time, that's fine if they want to make that choice. The problem is you're prescribing it to men, and I'm not going to do that. You're prescribing it to women. I'm not going to do that.
What did I prescribe?
You're telling them that a man should be a provider and that a woman should be a
I know I
nurturer.
said that they get innate fulfillment from that.
It's a prescription. It's saying it's fundamental to who you are.
So what is your solution? Because if the man's not providing and the woman's not providing,
Yeah.
who's going to
Do you want to? We can talk about economics if you want
But we're not
to.
going to talk about it right now. And the next prompt is, the sexual revolution has devalued women and made them infinitely less happy. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, maybe. Okay. Whoever feels strongly about it can speak.
I think that this term, calling it a sexual revolution, is quite strange and it distorts history. If you look at the history of like the way that people engaged in sex, it really has not quite changed much. The only thing that we've seen change for the most part is the rise in social media and the rise of seeking out sexual relationships through that. Because you can go back through history and look at like the Greeks and the Romans that were very openly sexual. People were having sex in public. Like it was not a private thing. It never was. And it really only became like this private thing when you look at like the rise of like industrialism in the United States and you see sex become like commodified and it became like a dirty thing with also the rise of, you know, like religion and Protestantism in the US also kind of demonized it. And it became a weapon used against women. And I think that we've seen the pendulum go from like being hypersexual in the past where sex wasn't like a commodified thing or it wasn't a demonized thing to kind of going through this period of like demonizing people for exploring their sexuality or things like that. And now we've kind of come back out the other side where some people abuse it, some people don't. And I think that you have to have moderation. I've said this before, like, as far as devaluing women, I think that the problem with devaluing women who are open about their sexuality or commodify their own sexuality and take control over it is a problem with patriarchy, and I think it's a problem with misogyny. I don't think it's a feminism problem.
Well, I would say that when you, like, put yourself out there to be overtly sexual and you don't give men anything to work for, so you lessen your value. So if you want women to be valuable, then having a lot of sex with men, being just out there, not caring about how you present yourself, that is not going to make you happy. You're actually sadder now. You're not happy. And I think that, you know, women tend, like, all species, one thing we know is that we're here to be with each other. You can try to look at it like we're not equal. We provide equal value. And men can do things that women simply can't. You have, like, you...
Can I ask what? What can men do that we can't?
I mean, men build everything. We don't. Men protect us. They fight wars. We don't.
What do they protect us from? Other men?
Women have always fought in wars. Women have built so many things.
Yeah.
So many things.
But in the world, like the
But women
roads,
also weren't allowed
the
to.
buildings, the architecture, men do all of that.
Women
Men
were
are the
also art at
geniuses.
it, though.
It's way more male geniuses that are female geniuses.
That doesn't answer the question, though. The question was, what can they do, not what have they done?
Well, she's answering the question a little bit, but you're saying like they're more men geniuses. They stopped us from reading. They stopped us from going to school.
Okay,
The first black woman
issue
lawyer
right now,
wasn't
so-
allowed to practice law. She got her law degree, but she wasn't allowed to even practice and be a lawyer. They stopped us.
But that's
from this
not what
stuff.
modern feminism is about. That we have surpassed that already. You guys can read, you guys can vote, you can do everything you want to do, and you keep making issues. This is why you always talking about the patriarchy and capitalism. You feed it. Okay? Why do you think that you are a feminist in the first place? They wanted you to work. That's what they wanted you to do. They wanted 2 people in the household to work versus 1, right? But you hate capitalism, but you serve it. You would rather serve capitalism than serve your man, the man that was put here to
I'm a
protect
lesbian.
you.
Yeah, but does
whether
your
it's
man
from-
make enough money so that you don't have to work? This is my thing. These are, if we're talking about family units, these are 2 people. They get to decide what happens in their unit. And reality is some men are not going to be able to provide all that they can. Talk about pressure. I feel like feminism was good for men because it kind of relieved them of a little bit of
It
pressure.
lifted everybody up.
Yeah,
It
but
really
it's
did.
made men so much more depressed than ever. It's made them weaker.
I think they just don't like the fact that now they see, oh, women can be as good as us because now that we're allowed to have all these rights,
have to talk to a
we're
man?
graduating
Why do you
from
have to
college
be
more
as
than
good
they
as
are
men?
now.
Why do you have to be?
Because we live in their world. And I'm saying because we live in this world with them where they are suppressing us, their bar's up here. If our bar gets lifted, so does theirs. Our bar gets lifted, so does theirs.
Why do women need to be less than men?
Yeah.
Women are not less than men. They're different from men. We provide equal value, but we're different. You can't, it's no way that if you got a man that's your age, your height, whatever, he's going and you race him. You're not going to beat him. More times than not, they're going to dust you, which lets you know that you are not equal to them.
In what sport,
Not in that
though?
way. You're not equal. They're stronger. They have more logic. You're more emotional. It's just.
To speak to the emotions, if I could maybe chime in here, right? The idea that like men are less emotional than women. It's like, well, what's the number 1 cause of crime? Do you guys know like the actual preceding
Emotions.
factors?
Poverty.
It's actually impulsivity, right? ADHD is one of the largest things that is in prison, right? ADHD, impulsivity, right? And drinking, right? Men are highly addictive. They're suiciding at a higher rate than women are. The idea that men aren't emotional is again the type of prescriptive perpetuation that is bad for men.
Anger is an emotion.
That's bad for men and it's bad for women. Men are emotional, right? Women are emotional in different ways. You're right. If you talk to, for example, a trans woman who's gone on estrogen, for example, a lot of negative emotions begin to emerge, more specifically like sadness. The issue is that we all act like logic devoid of emotion is wisdom, but that there's not even a historical precedent for this. If you look back to like some of the original writers of wisdom, you talk about the Spartans or the Athenians, they loved their feelings. The Spartan men were so passionate about one another and the things that they fought for that they openly sobbed. That's what original Stoicism is. It's an acknowledgement of the feelings and a drive for action and through it. You take away a rat's ability to feel emotion, it starves to death in like a week because emotion drives all of us. Men aren't more or less emotional. We're all emotional. The issue is that, yeah, they have testosterone. They're always going to lift things heavier than I am. That's why they're disproportionately represented in labor fields. But the issue is that A, technology has balanced those things, and B, the idea that men are just better, men just, by and large, because of X and Y, have a little bit more dimorphism at the ends. They might like perform really high here. They're also disproportionately represented in some of the most disabled individuals, some of the most addicted individuals, some of the most homeless individuals, right? And so this idea that we're like putting like women below men because like we tend to be kind of, I would argue, more balanced creatures, I think is disserving both of us.
I don't think that's
But we're not putting it.
That's
We're
not
not
what she
putting
said.
women under men.
Yeah.
We always, like, I was talking about this earlier, where we're always constantly, like, obsessing over this hierarchy on, I hear it from feminists a lot, where it's like, oh, well, men aren't better, like, you know, women are under, like, the book, The Second Sex. Like, this hasn't come from women who were happy being mothers and anti-feminists, anti-suffragettes. They're not saying that. It's always the feminists that are saying this. So I'm just like, why are y'all so obsessed with trying to be men? Like, why can't you just be good women and enjoy the roles that we're supposed to play, which is mother, a mother, because a man can't fill the mother role. That's why. So I just don't understand what the problem is and why you guys are trying to be men.
Wait, is that the only
We're
role?
not trying to be men.
Wait, no, is that the only role we play though, is mom? That's it?
No, I just threw a role, like, you know what I mean? I just threw a role out there that man cannot fill.
I think I'm the most masculine one here. I'm not trying to be a man. I'm just more questioning like what is being a woman? Like what is that going to look like for me? And it's not that I think that I'm better than men. It's just like even just saying like men are more logical. It's like I think men have been taught that their emotions are logic. Then it's not that they're more logical. They're not better decision makers. They're not the ones running our households. It's women that are running the households, you know?
I would.
Yeah, that's why households
You
are more
see,
apart.
you see households that are led by women and versus single households that are led by men. Men do a better job raising children by themselves.
You don't get to
Single
compare.
households led by women are creating YNs that are in the Black community. Women do that, okay? Men provide structure. They provide discipline. And that's within the woman, too.
So men sound like great mothers.
Is anyone on this side passionate about this particular prompt and would like to speak on it?
I did. I wanted to say something with respect to the lesbian because I can't identify. But I think the flaw with feminism is the expectation that we are supposed to be the same at all. I think we understand and we appreciate we are not better or worse. We are not equal. We are equal valued, but we're very different. And I think there's a natural biology that often gets overlooked, especially if you've raised boys, you will see from the womb, they are just different. And I think when we try to put them together and say, anything you can do, I can do better, we're setting ourselves up for failure. And you made a comment earlier about women are better in every way than men. And the question that I would have is,
I didn't say that.
I'm sorry, you said something
I didn't
about.
say anything close to that. I agree with you that I think the sexist, no, I honestly, the men versus women sex thing, I think it's silly. I think these traits, human traits are human traits. Some were nurtured more in this person, some were nurtured. Like my dad being a stay-at-home dad, he was much better mother than my mother was. I am so sorry, Mom, if you see this. But he just was. He was a better mom than she was. And sometimes that's the case. Forget the gender role stuff and these are all human traits. You either are a gentle, nurturing, organized person who wants to take care of a kid or you're not. And that doesn't go man, woman, that goes person.
And I will say, not every woman is a mother. Not every woman should be a mother.
And not everyone, right.
But I would just say this, find me the society of women that are doing it by themselves.
I would love to see it.
Exactly, it doesn't exist.
Why though?
Because we are not able to sustain it. We live in a safe, civil society because the men have made an agreement amongst themselves to not blow it all up.